All right, guys. Kevin here. Noticing a little bit of delay, but whatever. So where we left off was we just put this power pack in this thing. All right, so we're on the desktop series, and we're gonna drop the motherboard in this B hatch. Grab myself a fresh brewski. PBR, not sponsored by us. Milwaukee, not our sponsor. Nor FarmersOnly.com, which I'm sure a lot of you have wondered about because of the whole. Since the last time you've seen me, I'm looking more Gallagher-ish. So, not last video, but last time you saw me 4 years ago when I was installing heaters. I still install heaters, so, and we'll have more to come. These are great tutorial videos. You're gonna love them. Don't forget to subscribe, and congratulations for being a part of the team. So we're gonna go shoot right over here, and we're gonna show you what you got. So, boom. I say boom a lot. I'm not a chef. I'm not Senor Emerald, but I'm a guy who says boom. So we had a. Bet this will even tell you. Boom. So we've got tons of specs on this device. It's an AXT. Yeah. Yep. ATX. I'm sorry. The entire time I've been screwing it up for you. ATX. As I said in the beginning, every 5 to 10 years, put one of these together. The first computer I ever built was with my dad. It was an old 486 desktop. I was 6 years old. Like, boom, been building them ever since. Love it. Love it. Love it. So this guy right here, right? So the one I really wanted for what we needed for rendering and video capturing and playing video games, whatever the hell you want to do with this thing, this was the one that I wanted, right? And it was $75 used on eBay if you went with an MSI, which is a name brand. It's very popular, and MSI was pretty big. I liked the MSI, and I ended up speaking with a friend, and he says, dude, I've got this same exact one. Here's the comparable model in GIGABYTE, which GIGABYTE was like the off, why IBM dropped. IBM sold their manufacturing to a Chinese company called Lenovo, and they still copyright it, still inspect it, the whole nine. So IBM still has control over that as an American company, but they wanted to. They had to outsource their shipping and their manufacturing and all the other stuff, and really just lowered the price, but they still had their quality standards. Gigabit is the same thing. So MSI had this same product, and these guys duplicated it with Chinese manufacturing. Sorry, built in America, but at the same time, the price that I wanted on the used MSI was $75. I don't want to buy a used motherboard, right? Nobody wants to buy a used motherboard. This thing was anywhere from $387 new, which all those were sold out. So the only ones you were working your way up to the MSI version that was new at like $586, $596, somewhere in that vicinity. I mean, so we're anywhere from that low range if they had them in stock to the high range, and that's a little pricey for a motherboard. This bad boy right here, $75. I have a buddy that clocks this thing in and out. Like it clocks many hours on the on 4 or 5 of these boards doing data mining, or what do they call that? The BitTorrent stuff. Bitcoin. That's it. He bit mines, and he's got like 5 or 6 of these units going. $75, brand new, $75 got you the motherboard. And this thing is the same thing they were gonna charge you $500 for. Same exact thing, and he clocks more hours on these than anybody's ever clocked on some of those MSI boards. So it's like, all right, name brand, not name brand. Name brand didn't matter in this case. So we bought this guy right here, and she fits into the AXT board, the ATX board. ATX is the mounting system. That's how you determine, what case to get for what motherboards, and is it ATX or ATX Mini. So right here is your motherboard. Comes in a shockproof box, a bag, and you not want to not generate static electricity when you're holding these things. Big no-no when I was a kid. Learning about it, they're probably a little less susceptible now than when I was a kid. But I'm trying to think. Oh, and the other tool that we're not sponsored by, Klein Tools. Klein, I'm an electrician by trade, so Klein is my GoDaddy.com. That's my go-to. We're gonna flip this bad boy open. Slide this bad boy out nice and gently. Static electricity will kill your board. Inopportune fingerprints will kill your board. You just don't want to just do bad things to your motherboard. So we're gonna move all this crummy stuff out. There's tons of little sensors and all sorts of stuff in this box. And you pick up nicely on your board. You set ginger in here. She should line up roughly with where your screw holes are. Ooh. Okay. It's just a heat sink. Alright. Just making sure. Clear our way here. And in the back, it should line up with the hole in the back of your board. The back of your case right here should have that port. And every one of these, if you look in the bottom of your box, will come with one of these bad boys right here, which will, the older one, I've got to flip it around right here, fits the old one. And I'm sure you see a bunch of PSI, PCI, and VGA serial ports, a whole bunch of stuff on these older panels. Boom. Obsolete. This one's got like your 20 USBs because everything is USB now. And USB is universal from 1, 2, and 3. So they're not universal in terms of universal, like you're gonna find multiples of them, but they're the same. The size is the same, so that panel doesn't mix. So it's going to tell you USB, USB, USB. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 3. They color code them for your convenience later. And what we've been doing with all this stuff that comes in your box, even when we did the power pack video, we're going to set aside all of these. We're gonna, your manuals. We're going to throw these in. These are nice schematics of your motherboard, your operating software. We're going to set all this stuff aside at the end. We put it in a nice Ziploc bag, so if you ever have to do work on your motherboard, if you do work on your computer, you have to remove a board, you can take those stuff and put them aside with it. Oh, excuse me. Need a libation. So we're going to pack all that up and set that aside. Got some power cords here. We're going to go about mounting this board into the back of the box, and we'll be right back with you. So guys, what we did first was we took, this is the older one, but we took the newer one and we actually popped it in from the inside. You want to make sure that there's little clips on here, little springs, and make sure they're pointing in to kind of like give a little resistance to your motherboard. And then obviously line them up with the holes that come with your motherboard and pop it in place. Boop, 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 pops in place. Our motherboard here has like 7 spots, 7 screw holes in this motherboard. The panel, the box itself had 4 that were lined up. If you've ever torn apart an older desktop, save some of these little spacers. They're little brass fittings or brass coated fittings. They'll thread into the spots. I was able to put 2 more in the lower part of the motherboard. And then obviously your motherboard typically won't come with those screws. Same ones that we took out of the power pack. They're just, standard computer screws. I don't know the specs off them off the top of my head. I can find out and post it in the comments below, or if you know them, post them in the comments below. But for the most part, I had a big bag full of like old computer parts, whether they were threaded from cases or you get a few different sizes. But for the most part, they all take these, nice. Not castle nuts, but washer quarter turn screws, quarter inch screws. But that's I have a whole pile of those. So I was able to put 2 spacers in because I had them in a bag. that gave me some levity on the back of the board. And then we were able to put 6 screws, doop, 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 and there was 1/7 screw here. There was no hole in my case for it, so I didn't put a spacer in. You know, tough noogies. The board's perfectly secure with 6 screws. I mean, if you went off the spacers I had, it should have been fine with 6. Or with 4. I'm just anticipating having to use the PCI Express ports and stuff like that to actually make it happen. So that was just kind of something that I worried about. But yeah, that was that, and we'll get into do some of the finer details about plugging in this power port to it, and then we'll get into setting the chip in the next video. But we'll get gonna go through some of the schematics of having to plug power options of this box into the actual case itself and into the motherboard, and we'll get to that here shortly in this video. So guys, we're the first thing that we're doing here in our installation is we're working off the front panel. So we're tracing down some of the smaller little leads. You notice they all have like black caps with a white and or another color wire going to them. The white wire would assume to be your negative because some of this stuff runs in DC. So you're just going to go off of that unless it's labeled. If it says positive, if it says negative, follow that. You're also going to pull out this guide, and the guide gives you a description. So right now we're working off the front panel. It'll say F panel on your motherboard. It says F_panel or some abbreviation thereof. You're going to follow the description on your motherboard and trying to line it up as best as you can with your with your case. Now the case should have most of the things there. You're going to have some empty spots. You're going to have some things that you just can't wire into your motherboard because it's not spec'd out for your box. If you have any questions, please comment below. Ask a professional before if you're uncertain about anything. On a lot of this stuff, the first couple times you do it, you're going to be uncertain about it. And you know, we're here to help anybody. If we don't have your answer, somebody that we know might. If you don't have the answer, don't do it, because last thing you want to do is fry your motherboard and try to explain why you have to return it. This isn't Home Depot. This isn't one of your big box stores. You can't just take this thing back. You know, you're out $75, all because you crossed the wires. So, but we're going off the schematic here on how this particular board wires in with our particular box. Right now, we've got our. I just did a few of them right now. I'll wire in the rest of them, and then I'll start working on the next portion, which will just kind of, and then I'll get into that in just a second. But we just did our hard drive activity LEDs, and it'll say HDD, HD minus. Typically, we're going to go with our minus being the neutral wire. Let's see here. We've got the reset switch, the power switch. And there's going to be 2 plus or minus for each of those. There's speakers typically in these devices. You know, when your computer goes doot doot, like, and you don't hear it through your sound system. It's typically the box itself telling you that something's restarting. It makes different noises. Let's see here. There's a power LED light that shows up on the front of boxes. Some of them have it, some of them don't. They just tell you that, you know, power's on, power's off. These are just the little LEDs that indicate that your system is working properly. Power sleep LED. Power sleep switch, chassis intrusion header. So I'm not 100% sure what that is. I'd have to read a little bit more on that. There's speaker, and it says no connection or an NC on it. Like this thing will literally tell you everything that you need to know about it. And then you'll have different other audio sounds. And the audible sounds might be located in the back. I believe this device is. We'll get to that schematic in just a second. We're going to hook up the front panel. I'm going to start investigating a little bit more on the other things this box contains that I have here. And we'll go from there. So, click, and... Alright guys, so just resuming here. So we traced it back down, following all the LED lights. We went back through for the USB 1 in the front. It's F_USB 1, F_USB 2, F_USB 3. So the So if you only have 2 in the front, you only hook up 2. If you've got 3 in the front, if you've got 4 in the front, read the schematics. It really gives you a great insight onto like what your motherboard can handle, and what it should take. Following the F audio, that's for your earbuds, your microphones in and out, any jacks you might have in the front. Just great tutorials. And now we're about to get into plugging into the power pack into the motherboard and to the box itself. And these are just just running through the basics. Real quick, boys and girls, so we're going through here. You'll see a 4-pin connector here. You're going to follow your diagrams. It's labeled ATX 12 volt. And then you're going to have a 20 or 24 pin connector here. Most of your newer power packs, you're going to have the 24 with the branch off, so you can actually pull 4 of the pins away from the 20 and hook up to an older motherboard or a different style. And there you go. So we've got those 2 that hook to your motherboard. There's your main supply power. We've got most of your other connectors here. A lot of these are things that plug into your drive devices. So it looks like we got 3 branches. There's about 9 devices we could plug in. Here's your PCI 1s, or PCIe, which is PCI Express. And then here's your some of your other connectors. So auxiliary fans, other devices. We got power to the box, and we're gonna just kind of power that up real quick. I'm gonna run the layout on that, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys. So we hooked up the motherboard pins, and then we're leaving these typical jacks for like your modern drives. Like we said, there's 9 of them. The PCI, we haven't gotten to the graphics card yet. I took a free second here and added that the dual fan that I talked about in the earlier video. We found a nice little spot for it right here. And then I went through and we connected what made sense for connecting in chain a lot of these adapters for powering your older devices, are these 4-prong, and so like we chained them together in the box because the box really didn't have a whole heck of a lot of draw. So we chained all those together, and then we still have off the main, we still have additional stuff. There's a floppy drive still left in this thing. It's pretty old, but I tied it in because I'm hoping I can find a old school like parallel port to adapt to a serial. Otherwise it's just juiced up for no reason, but not a problem. Left this longer one here. I believe this goes to the door of the door panel. There's a fan on the door. We connected. There's a fan in the front. We got the dual fan connected, and it's actually all regulated through this thing's got a top unit here that regulates it, and then there's also one that I haven't connected yet because we haven't set our chip in place yet. So there's a CPU fan, I believe, that needs juice, and so it's kind of just a lot of just a cool chaining here. We've got so the CPU sensor is going off of draw and things like that. So there's a little jumper connection in here for the CPU fan. Oh, that's what it is. Yep, right here. So it comes off of there, and that allows it to regulate the CPU's fan off of this main control, which is built into the box. So we're gonna hold off on that. We kept all the original tags on the device coming from that, and we also didn't connect any of these. There's little thermostats that go here to tell us what our temperature is. So we'll put that in line. Each one is labeled. We hope. Yeah, I believe one of them said HDMI, one of them said hard drive. Let's see if they kept their original tags. But yeah, we've got all those thermostat sensors on there, so we'll figure out how that's going to pan out. But yeah, for the most part, we've wired up as much of this device as we're going to be able to wire up until we start dropping the CPU in, and then putting the fan on the CPU, dropping the hard drive in, and the GPU, the graphics card. Don't forget to always keep this handy for reference on how your board works. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like. comment below. We would love to hear your comments.